So we're trying out something new today. We're trying out what I call my garage rig. Yes, we have the new Squier Jaguar with us here. I don't know. We're going to talk about a bunch of different stuff here just because I have a bunch of crazy shit going on. Of course, got this guitar. I'll probably do some reviewing on it. But yeah, we're getting kind of back to format here. By the way, the rig we're running today is completely open source. Everything is free. Running on a free computer with a free operating system with a free guitar effects program. And I'm going to show you how to set it up, at least with my configuration, the way it works. And I'm going to kind of teach you the methods to it. So we're going to kind of start with that. So the computer I'm using here is a Lenovo desktop that I built from bare bones, basically. It had no CPU, no RAM, no hard drive, no nothing. Like an 8th gen i5, 32 gigs of RAM, 512 gig SSD, 3 terabyte spindle drive, because this is intended to be a recording setup. We're running it right now. I got a set of Plantronics headphones I've had since my Microsofty days. So I've had these a long time. That's what I'm speaking through. We got the Fender Jaguar here just running straight in through this old headphone cable, straight into line in on the computer. No effects, no boxes, no nothing. Everything you're hearing is the computer. I've started using Linux about 3, 4, 5 years ago as my main OS because I got sick and tired of all the Microsoft bullshit. I got tired of constant updates, things getting bricked, audio supplies messing up, things in OBS being changed due to changes in the audio system. I gave Mac OS a chance. My problem with Apple is obsolescence. Basically, this right here, this iMac, this Mac Mini right here, yeah, this I can't use this anymore because it won't download GarageBand because they say, oh, it's too old. You can't use GarageBand anymore. Buy a new one. Well, we don't kill computers here at the Creeping Network. Nothing dies. It just becomes reincarnated as something else later. So, as we're going to go, that's kind of the setup we're using. I'm going to kind of talk a bit about this because I don't think anybody else has talked about it on YouTube, at least to this extent. So let's get back to my desktop here. Yeah, you can see my OBS. So hopefully you can kind of see my mouse cursor. Let's test this. Yeah, so my mouse cursor is visible. So right now I have a program called Jack, which is sort of a audio interface manager type dealie we're going to play it. Audio interface manager type dealie for Linux, Windows. Basically what it does is it acts kind of like a patch bay for your various audio sources and various audio processing things. Right now, what this does, I can show you my graph here, which is like a graphical representation of how your jack's done. So my system's being fed, so my guitar from the system is being fed from both Capture 1 and Capture 2 on the headphone jack into the in 0 of the guitar head amp. All my effects are post amp because I'm using amplifier distortion. You'd probably want to maybe put some stuff beforehand or something. I don't know how to do that, but this is my very basic setup. And the way you connect parts of your interface is you highlight these, and then you highlight this, and then this button here will say connect under here, and you can connect the ports. Now, since this is a mono input, we're using a Fender Jaguar, runs straight into the microphone jack. We're doing these two capture inputs into in 0. This is also a documentation for myself too. so I remember how it's done. And then the out 0 from my amp head goes into my effects rack over here. So the way it's set up is this is the amp head, and then all this stuff afterward feeds into this rack over here. So this is Guitarix. It's an open source guitar effects simulator that you can use. As you can see, you know, I got my sound dialed in. I got my effects, typical chorusy, distorted, crunchy, martially sound from it. And basically it's split up where this is the amplifier section, and then the rest of this is all your rack. And then it all runs through this rack, so it allows me to have stereo effects, stereo chorus, stereo delay, stereo reverb, that kind of stuff. And then it feeds back into the system where I can hear it back out through my NEC computer speakers for monitoring. Unfortunately, I can't hear it through these headphones on my headset because of the way that the audio is routed, and the fact we're using multiple audio systems at one time. When we look over here, this is the Pulse Audio jack source. I had to manually enable it in terminal using PAX PACTL load-module-jack source. And this allows me to use the jack source plugin to actually pull the audio into my OBS setup here, which I have kind of set up like I'm going to just throw up settings, but I don't think we can do that while I'm recording, but we'll see. So under here, under my audio, I have my Cannon Lake line output speaker headphones. Audio 2 is disabled, jack source, pulse audio. That's the guitar. That's my webcam 500, my really old webcam that doesn't like to play ball. And then my headset runs into here. The reason why I have to have so much of this different stuff is because of that. So what you're seeing here right now, you can see my webcam 500's picking up my voice. I don't use this because it's all like when I try to record with it anymore. So I'm probably not going to be using the webcam 500 mic anymore on this. Probably should get myself a newer webcam and take a 48,000 sample rate. Headset mic, of course, like I told you, it's my Polycom running into the desktop. Guitarix, of course, for my Fender Jaguar. Desktop audio is just like what I would use if I was recording game audio, as you can see, because I have a whole bunch of other setups down here with retro gaming, guitar audio, NES games with no border, that kind of thing. So let's get back to the desktop here. So in here in Guitarix, what we have, so let's start with something basic. So your basic, maybe we'll start with a new one, and in this patch, it'll just be like YouTube test. We'll just do that. So let's remove everything from here. You remove these by double clicking on them over on the brackets on the side. So right here is just our basic amp now. We just have our basic clean amp, basic guitar tone. All you're hearing, Fender Jaguar straight bridge pickup. Well, Squier Jaguar, but still, I'll treat it like a Fender. So what I have here is this amplifier, and you can pick the different tubes over here by right-clicking on it. So you have your 12AX7, which is like your typical tubes that you have, 12AX7 feedback. You just have to experiment around to try those out and hear how they sound. I'm using a noise gate because my garage is very noisy. There's all sorts of high voltage stuff in here. I did this so I wouldn't have to plug in my half stack when I'm testing guitars out and stuff. And then I can just test them out through the computer. Say if I get a build done or, you know, a setup done late at night, we can actually, you know, I can actually do that in the middle of the night and nobody's none the wiser. Somebody walks by and it sounds like a plink, plink, plink. I'm going to turn the volume up on this guitar rig a little. So, yeah. So that's what you're hearing is the Fender Jaguar straight up. You got all these effects over here. You just click on this and it gives you a list. You can have tone control through amp impulse, buffer boost, biquad filters, all that different stuff. You can add a distortion channel to it if you want. I'm just running straight up tube distortion or simulated tube distortion off of here. Got your reverb, echo, delay, modulation, of course, chorus flanger. This is just like my basic sound. I'm going to use this patch. Patches are managed here. I got my scratch pad. I got my creepingnet. I got, you know, some of the default patches that come with it. We're going to kind of listen to a few of these. So distortion test 1 sounds like this. Pretty much my typical sound that you've probably heard. That kind of thing, you know, the usual chorus. Yeah, typical hard rock geared to a Fender, to my sound, you know. And then I have, you know, the clean test number 1 over here. I was just testing out basic cleans, so you can kind of hear. It's a little clean, but it's a little driven because I was messing with it. Clean chorus, give you an idea, you know. The kind of thing I like to do. I was trying a test to see if we could get that old crystal sound, you know. But just couldn't get it to do it. Try to do a guitar as bass, fifths, you know. Although it sounds a little more like Yasa's owner of a Lonely Heart, you know. That kind of thing. You have my basic distortion. This sounds kind of like old school Sammy Hagar. You know. Yes, that is a Jag single coil pickup getting that sound. I had the heavy 80s chorus distortion. Yes. Maybe like you're, you know, you know. Yeah, your old classic 80s chorus distortion sound. So we're going to kind of talk through these. Just a reverb clean with some chorus because I was playing with that. Kind of go back to my my regular sound. So we're gonna kind of go back to that, go back to the camera. So yeah, we're gonna get back to that. Now we're gonna kind of talk about the guitar a bit for this rig. So right now, what I have here is the Squier Classic Vibe 70's Jaguar. I've been kind of following the Squier Jag since they came out because this was pretty much what I wanted for a first guitar when I started playing back in the 90s. Despite the fact that grunge rock was popular and everybody was after these and the prices were going up on the vintage ones already, and the Japanese ones weren't exactly cheap either. Yeah, this would have been an awesome thing to have out back in like 1992, 1993. I mean, Fender would have probably sold these like hotcakes. Yeah, as we can see, it's a Squier. Just like any, you got the bigger 70s CBS headstock. It's a little different than the original Jaguar layout headstock. I actually like the CBS headstock, and the Jaguar kind of set the design into that direction. I just think it looks aesthetically well. You got, of course, Squier, and you got your Jaguar logo there with the nice little tail on the logo. Single string tree. I've seen people saying they set these up with dual string trees. I try to get away with as few as possible. Classic style Kluson tuners. I don't know what Squier is using on these, but these are actually some pretty good little tuners. They're the same ones on my Bass 6, which is the same series. Indian Laurel fretboard. I'll go over some of the things I had to fix on this. Indian Laurel fretboard, 22 tall, thin frets. Binding, of course. Yeah, I'm in my 40s now. Oh, yeah, you get that cool skunk stripe on the back. This is like my favorite style of Fender neck aesthetically, although I'd probably would have preferred the Jag Stang profile, but this is probably my second or third favorite profile. Oddly enough, I think I found the Chinese company that makes these necks. Or, I don't know, I found a Chinese company that makes similar necks for like $58, and I have one on my Jag now that I use with a Floyd Rose locking nut. That's my my offset for Floyd Rose stuff. Yeah, typical bolt-on neck by Squier. On this one, when I found it at Guitar Center, this is an exclusive Guitar Center color called Daphne Blue. It seems to be the only place you could buy them like that. I don't know if you saw, but there's a chip up here. Tried to use that as a bargaining piece. Doesn't really work, but whatever. I don't care. It's a Jaguar. I'm going to play the hell out of this thing. Yeah, so you have, of course, the standard Jaguar controls. Imagine a line through the middle of the guitar. You have your rhythm circuit up here with your rhythm circuit and lead circuit thing. You have a volume roller up here, and you have a tone roller up here. You know, and basically those controls give you that basic sound of, like, you know, that jazzy, warm. On the neck pickup only, so it's neck pickup only when the switch is up over this way. When you flip this way, you turn on all this stuff down here, the lead circuit. It's just like my other Jaguar, just minus the tri-mode switching. I just added to that one. I'll probably should demo that one because it's got some neat new sounds. So, pot's getting a little scratchy. I've been playing this thing when I could this week. So over here, you have your standard switches for Jaguar. Neck position on, off, up is off, down. Up is on, down is off. So all three of these down is both pickups off. This is the bridge pickup switch in the middle, and this is the strangle switch. So like your neck pickup, and then bridge. Both together. Of course, I should be doing this with a clean tone. We might do that in a minute. And then you have your strangle switch, you know. You hear how it gives it a little more mid-range honk, a little more roar. Yeah, that strangle switch really brings out Guitarix quite a bit. And of course, your obligatory standard single volume, single tone control setup that all Jags have stock. Neck position, bridge position pickups. They changed the recipe of the body and the pickups on this from the earlier models. There's an earlier model that was called the Vintage Modified Jaguar, which had like an 11K bridge pickup in it. Really nice pickup. And they were Duncan designed, and then there was a second one in the neck. I think Fender's kind of dumped or lost association with Seymour Duncan, so now they're doing their own pickups. These are kind of surprising, and these kind of led to a discovery about Jaguars that I didn't really think about. I don't think with these having powerful pickups matters nearly as much, at least not for someone like me, because as you can hear, that's this pickup. When I do the ohms reading off the output jack, it's only like 5.95K or something like that. It sounds like it's like that's pretty muscly for a 5.95K single coil. I mean, I've got a nice mid-range chonk to it, and that's what I want. Neck position is about around the same reading. It's a two single coil guitar. I mean, you can get a lot out of two single coils. Ask anybody with a Telecaster. They changed up the bridge. The vintage modified, I believe, had the original Jaguar style bridge on it with the threaded saddle, so you can change the string spacing. This one has the Mustang bridge on it, which is my first time using a Mustang bridge on one of these. I do find it's really good. It allowed me to skip a lot of the setup issues that were setup tricks, really, as I should say, because I don't consider them issues. So normally with like a stock Jaguar bridge, what I would do is I would try to take each individual adjustment point, jam it with a 3M tape. I found that works great. It's like a forever, but unlike Loctite, it doesn't make it as tight, or it doesn't get everywhere, so it's like a clean install. Or I just stick 4-in thread screws into the saddles that are a little bit bigger and make it really tight tolerant so it doesn't move. Then usually I have to bevel this low E saddle at a 45-degree angle to jam the low E in, because, I mean, as we all know, I play heavy metal on this, so it's like... So I'm like chugging away on the low E string, and I need it to stay in place. Yeah, it's got a 9.5-inch radius, which is flatter, so I can crank the action a lot lower than on my CIJ. It doesn't make that much of a difference in playability. Yes, it allows me to sprint around the neck a little bit faster, but overall, I mean, it just makes it a little more comfortable. Who the heck is poking out back there? Continuing on, this is why I don't make videos very often with guitars anymore. It's because partially the interruptions that constantly happen. It just makes it hard once you get on a flow and you start doing stuff, and then it's like you have to pause and so forth. I mean, I'm like on call this weekend, so I'm having to also take calls, but that wasn't a call. So yeah, we're gonna kind of talk a little more about that. So that was my bridge setup on the other type. This I pretty much forwent all that. I haven't even done 3M to the up-down adjustment screws, which is kind of an improvement, because I had to do that in my Jaguar Jazzmaster Jag-Stang. I think I even had to do it to the Music Master because I used an import bridge on that when I did a Mustang conversion on it. But this, I haven't had to do that part of the setup. Of course, has the same tremolo as the AVRI, or as the Classic Vibe Bass 6. So if I like turn the volume all the way up, you know, bar depth from low E is A flat, which for Jag, that's pretty low. Actually, fun story. So the first day I had this, I actually took the Jazzmaster, which I'm using a new modification on. It has a bar where I've bent it upward a little more, and I cut the extra length off the end of the bar to actually make it not bottom out in the tremolo cavity. Holy crap. I mean, I dropped this thing down to drop CG. We were getting completely limp strings on a bar dive, like a Floyd Rose, out of a Jaguar trem. That's like bizarre to even think about. And strangely, they still fell back in their slots and came back in tune. Right now, I'm using the stock strings that came with it. You can see I had to retie the high E on. That's always been a problem with these Squier Jaguars, I've noticed, especially in the store. I have a fun story. Years ago at my wedding, I invited one of my viewers/friends over for my wedding. It was my best man. We were at Kennelly Keys Music, and I was playing this Olympic White. I think it was the Olympic White Vintage Modified. And it wasn't playing it more than 3 minutes and the string popped off. It was like, what the? Seriously, Fender, you got to put bullets or paradigms or something on these. It's got a little more stuff. It's strung up with 9s, so I'm going to run it with the stock strings until the stock strings are dead. I picked up mine at Guitar Center for $378. I didn't get the bar. This is actually one out of my VM VI. I'm planning to buy another bar for this one. Might do some of the mods to it that I have on the Jazzmaster, because this one's really been a whammy machine. That's pretty much it. The only other things I got to talk about on this that probably were kind of a problem is, of course, you have your microphonic pickups, because these Jaguar pickups, if you look at them, they have these little metal claws on them. My CIJ also has them on the cool rails too, but on these it has them on the stock Jag pickups. And the problem with that is what you have a loose piece of metal here next to the pickup, and when you're running with high gain and on a stage level amp, they vibrate. Now that said, the microphonic feedback I'm getting isn't too terribly bad from these. Even though I'm able to talk through them like a microphone, strangely enough, I had the Bugera cranked up in here with this going through, and it wasn't feeding back too much. So we'll wait on that one to address it. Of course, the fretboard was dry. She's doing a lot better now because I put this stuff on it, this Guitarix Guitar Honey stuff. I've been using that on my fretboards for years. It really brought out that. This is a nicely figured fretboard, after all. Another thing I had to do a fret level and recrown on all of the frets, because there was a bunch of high spots, the worst being fret 21. So I'd be up here, and this I have to turn on so you can hear it, because this thing's very quiet when unplugged. So I still got some stuff to do here with the action adjustment, but like this note, it was stopping at the 21st fret and playing the 20, so it's getting there. A lot of fine tuning to do, but other than that, I got the action really slammed down low on it. I think like the low E is right about that area, and then the high E is almost kissing the frets, so I need to probably bring that back up a little. So that's kind of thing. Switched out the stock strap buttons for Shaler strap locks, because that's what I prefer. And all my straps have that. As far as sound goes, I mean, distorted, you can hear that. You can hear that behind the bridge thing there really well. It really resonates well. That was one of the big things that sold me on. So it does that really well with the strings. I still have a little bit of setup work to do in the upper end, but yeah, there was some pretty bad high spots and a few spots. Once I leveled them out, adjusted the truss rod. I didn't even shim the neck. It just doesn't need it. I mean, you can see I have a very low breakover angle over the bridge, and strings aren't popping out of saddles, and it's kind of letting them resonate just the right amount behind the bridge. So I should probably talk a little bit about using these with that bridge. I have a bit of a playing technique that involves 3 levels of muting. You have the front muting, so you can hear that kind of thing. That's like what I normally use, and usually that's used because you can hear the string behind the bridge kind of acting as a resonance chamber a bit. And on certain notes, it really rings out like. Giving it a harmonic effect, you know. So I sometimes pick behind the bridge. If you want to palm mute, but still mute everything, since I have a big chunk of meat on my hand, I can do this. And then you don't hear that then you don't hear that. Instead of a buzz stop, instead I have a manual buzz stop using the meat of my hand to kind of block the bridge from behind and stop it from doing that. And it allows me to exploit both the cool side of the Jaguar with that bridge, and then, you know, exploit the different resonant properties of the behind the bridge. Now, the pickups really kind of taught me a theory that the way these claws spread out the magnetic field really kind of is what gives them their hotter sound. And another thing, and this has been my theory on offsets for years, is that the pickup output really doesn't matter that much. I mean, I'm starting to notice Jaguars, Jazzmasters, as long as they have this bridge and tailpiece, they have a pretty similar sound. I mean, my CIJ is pretty close. The CIJ is hum canceling. This isn't. This has a little more bite and a little more Fender twang spank to it, which I like, having a little bit of a different timbre. But it still does all the hard rock stuff really well with single coils, which is kind of the whole other point of this, was I was pointing out, you know, everybody was giving me hell about the 500K pots and the cool rails, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference. Yes, the 500Ks will soften your, and I need to clean this pot a little. The 500Ks will soften up the highs a bit, but other than that, I mean, it doesn't make that much of a difference. They both have the same kind of that rubbery Jaguar attack to them. Now, I mean, pretty much just to kind of give some different sounds here, bring up Guitarix. So, you know, average clean, you got your, here's the bridge clean. Let's take some of the drive out of the signal though. So that's bridge with strangle. It's kind of like that Metallica song. And the strangle switch's effect can be really varied depending on what you use. Like on my Bugera, it's really, really pronounced. On this Guitarix OpenSource audio, it's really pronounced. But yeah, you can do that. Here's both pickups on. This is pretty much the typical Jaguar sound. Yeah, your old, the cars. Probably somewhere yeah, a lot of people use it for, you know, the surfy stuff. Yeah, Guitarix really makes a difference on this one. Neck pickup. Strangle. It reminds me of that Freddie King first Fender Jaguar video I ever found on YouTube. Was Freddie King and Gatemouth Brown, and Freddie King was like, I was looking back now, I wonder if Gatemouth Brown had a strangle switch in the on position, because I mean Freddie King was like just wailing. He was like, yeah, we had that. Flipping over, you got the rhythm circuit, you know, that was introduced on the Jazzmaster. I mean, that was for your. It's meant to be like a rhythm circuit for playing chords. Like you know, you were in your surf rock band, you'd be like wailing away while the other guy's over there with both pickups on, going, you know, whatever the heck he's doing. And that was like the traditional way they ran it. With distortion, I mean, let's go back to distortion now. Now we're going to get back to my regular sound. We're going to kind of, well, you've heard a lot of the sound. I mean, I use distortion with a heavy chorus. Actually, let's find one that's got drive that's not that much, like basic distortion, like this. We're running with a pretty reasonable amount of gain. You know. So, on here you got bridge pickup. You know, the bridge pickup gets pretty much in that hair metal territory, which is kind of nuts considering this is a Jaguar and all. You know, you got your I think also this cable's a little weird too, but anyway, you know. It actually sounds a lot like Martin Jenner when he was playing Everyman with Cliff Richard. Not exactly my scene, but that song was pretty good. And that was on Cobain's Jag with a super distortion, so that's pretty good. So you got that, both pickups on. Probably some like Thinking of You by Sammy Hagar. So you have that neck pickup. Let's do it. It's a strangle switch. It sounds kind of like some of the old car demos by the Cars. You know, you had that one that was like. Yeah, strangle with both. That's kind of like Tom Petty. Kind of thing. Neck. That's kind of neat. Kind of snorkely. Weird. So those are kind of the tones you can get out of it with that strangle switch. Pretty useful. And then, of course, the rhythm circuit. I mean, most people usually think, yo. Yeah, Bush, or, you know. So I can really kind of get it to do all the things I want it to do. You know, distortion on this really does well. Really good sustain. Now that's where we're going to get to the negatives. The fretwork on the upper fret still leaves a bit to be desired. So I'm going to probably crank that back up just a hair. And some of that is because these nut slots I think might be sitting a little too high, so I'm probably going to address that. That's the one thing I haven't touched is the nut, and that seems to be a common thing. But overall, I'd say, you know, for what you get, this is pretty dang good. I mean, out of the box, I mean, I'm playing this thing bone stock out of the box. I haven't modded it, and I'm not going to mod it. This has a few idiosyncrasies, mainly with frets and setup. But if you can get a discount and get it with do your own frets and setup, you can turn this sucker into a real mean little player. I mean, I'm still playing all sorts of heavy stuff on it, so that kind of goes to show you. And then, of course, not bad with the Guitarix guitar rig. Granted, I need to take care of that scratchy pot, you know, because you have all these cool little, you know, you got your heavy 80s chorus. So, yeah, it does pretty good. We're still in the dialing in stages, and that's where I'm probably going to talk a little bit about what it takes typically for me, why I play cheap guitars, and why a lot of people hate cheap guitars, and guys like me love them. This is pretty much the higher end of cheap, though. This is almost a $500 guitar. I consider $500 is where you start entering into the mid-range, and this is kind of like the replacement for the Japanese Jaguars and stuff from the 80s and 90s. But at the same time, you can get the used vintage modified series for even less. You can get them for like $250, $275, I think, in most places I see. And I've heard of people getting them even cheaper, even finding them like pawn shops and thrift shops for like $50. So they're a good little modding platform, whether you wanted to rip one up, put some humbuckers in it, or do what I'm doing, keep it stock and show that these suckers can shred even on their own. The handling, so the upside say the tone's there, the playability is definitely there, although it needs a little bit of TLC to bring it out. Fretboard was a little dry. It does look like the finish cracked here a little bit. The guy tried to offer me extended warranty. I avoid that shit like the plague. I'm like, if it all chips off, I'll just repaint it. At this point, I can do anything I want in my shop here on a guitar, so I've got any options. This is actually going to likely be my last purchase of a instrument, if not the last, because, you know, I'm at a point now where even something like this, I could build it myself and handpick everything. But this is pretty close to what I like. Well, I'm not touring or performing live anymore, at least not right now, in part due to said on-call work. You know, I'm still recording and having fun and stuff, and who's to say you gotta stop having fun when you turn 40? So, you know, I'm 42 now, so. But yeah, not a bad thing. Fits my preferences real well, and this and the vintage modded are both good ones. So, yeah, as you can see, and you know, I got that new Guitarix rig down here. The fact that I can hit a low A with the whammy is a good thing. How low is the ego? Yeah, I gotta do something about that. Oh wait, it might be the pickup. So yeah. Another thing is the pickup's really cranked up. I don't know if somebody at Guitar Center maybe did shim the neck and do that, but you know. But my setup seems to be turning out better, because when I got this thing, the strings are about that high off the fretboard, and yeah, that was one of the other setup things I had to figure out. So yeah, I'm off to go ahead and set up the neck relief and do a few other things on this, and see you in the next video.